On Wednesday nights, my take, Rosh Ya'acob ben Abraham attempts to answer questions from several videos sent to him by subscribers just like you. Each answer will come from the wisdom of the sages and the light of the Torah. The video, which is in question tonight, comes from Brother Duane from the Samba Journeys Channel. Rosh Ya'acob will thoroughly go through this video to answer all of the pending questions that has been probing Brother Duane's mind for years, such as why should we learn Hebrew?
They say Mishpachah, you say Mishpachah. They say Khan, you say Khan. They observe certain days, you observe certain days. I mean, it's just uncanny how it's just you're literally are copying and walking step by step with the very people that you call fake.
Why do we need to know the customs that we see the Ashkenazim practicing?
It amazes me that if they're so fake, why do Hebrews spend so much time trying to mimic someone that's fake? It makes no sense.
Why is the land of promise such an important factor within our way of life?
Going into the early 60s, there was a group out of, I want to say Chicago, and who said, you know what, we're done here as Hebrews. You know, this is Babylon. We got to get up out of here, right? So they initially they moved to, it was a group of them that initially moved to West Africa, right? So they went to West Africa. They stayed there for a little bit. But from what I understand, if you listen to their testimony, they said, man, it just was not working out for them at all. So they ended up in the state of Israel, and that was like in the mid to late 60s.
And finally, what are the origins of being a West African Jew?
If you go back to the history of the Hebrew movement here in the United States, which started around like in the late 1800s and going into the early 1900s, it goes a little bit back, a little bit further than that. It didn't start exclusively here in the United States. It actually started in the Caribbean, and then it made a jump here where it started taking more form.
Rosh Ya'acob will give his take on all of these matters to see how they weigh according to the Torah. So, please join us as we delve into the Torah text and hear from the words of the sages themselves.
But yet your movement was funded, seed funded by these people. You cannot separate that. I mean, you just can't. So it brings a lot of questions to people who are really wanting to know the answers to the, things that just don't add up.
Hey, shalom, 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 everyone. Welcome to tonight's show, part 2 of this special question and answers dealing with the Samba Journey Channel and Brother Duane, and many questions that he posed in this video, and it got thousands of views. And I was looking at it, I said, oh my goodness, I gotta talk about this issue because it's very important. And I think we need to know about it and to get into it. So I'm not going to hold you too long. I want to get right to it. But before I get right to it, I just got to represent our sponsor, the Art of Clothing. And all the things that they're doing. Doing so much things, the AOC, special shout out to them. If you're into nice sports apparel and different shirts and so forth, I got their description. I got their information in the description, the Instagram, the IG, all that good stuff. So you can contact them. You can get your stuff shipped to you wherever you are. And you can shine and drip and all those good things. And before I go any further, I want to first get pause for this, take a station pause for him, for the art of clothing, so we can get his information out there to you all. So here is our sponsor, the art of clothing. All right, so welcome back. Again, this is my take with Rosh Ya'acob, and I introduce you to myself. My name is Rosh Ya'acob ben Abraham. I am the Rabbi at Gethsemane Spiritual Temple Congregation, and on this channel we discuss Torah issues. We discuss everyday issues in life, and we look at everything from a Torah perspective. So that's what you can expect on here. That we're going to look everything at a Torah perspective, and also going to give you a viewpoint not just from the written Torah, but from the oral Torah as well. All right. So with that being said and done, we'll go ahead and get ready to get into our video for today with Brother Duane, and we're going to start right where he left off at. So if you already looked at this video, his video, and you said, well, you ain't addressed that, you gotta go back to last week's video. Last week's video, I addressed certain things. So this week, I'm going to press forward. All right, so we're pressing forward. All right, so we're going to hook up with our brother Duane and hear some more of the things that he has to tell us.
There are even when you go to the more Orthodox Hebrew synagogues, many of them you'll find like in places like New York City. These synagogues, well, they have a very interesting history. Number one, if you go back to the history of the Hebrew movement here in the United States, which started around like in the late 1800s and going into the early 1900s.
All right. Yeah, this is where we left off at. I remember this well because when he was saying this, I was thinking, I remember when I was at the yeshiva and it was people trying to historically come up with where the awakening of Israel came into play, and they did like he did. So I believe he might have got this from the different books because he said he was doing research and looking into it and all this stuff, right? And it was a work, I can't remember the name of it, but they try to lay out how they think this stuff all came into play, and they bring out different people's name that we don't know, or I don't know. I should say, now some people might know it, and yeah, certain communities and camps did come out of what he's about to say, but other people like myself, who never dealt with a camp, did not come out of any of that and don't know nothing about any of that. And I've been doing this for a very long time, since I was a teenager, and y'all see this gray in me. So you see the gray, so you know I'm old now, or older. So I've been doing this for a long time. And I'm looking at him sitting there thinking, dude, I don't, like when he starts figuring out, like I already know where he's about to go. And I always say, I didn't have that same origin, right? I didn't have that origin that I know he's about to speak on. He's about to speak on the origin, where he's going to talk about Rabbi Matthew Wentworth and the different things that he did for the community and other people. He's going to talk about Ben Ami and others. And I'm like, I hear you, but you can't lump everybody that say, the Hebrew movement. Like, he's trying to lump it all together like it's just this big movement that was by these people, and that's where everybody got it from. And that is not true. That is not true. I remember being in places and people asking me about these people, and I'm like, who? They say, you don't know your history, you don't know these people. And I'm like, no. And the stuff y'all talking about that they taught, I learned all this differently. So maybe that's why I look at it differently, because I didn't have the internet and the camps and all this other stuff. When I was growing up, it was no such thing as the internet. Internet wasn't created yet. There's no such thing. I remember when we first started using computers, it was in high school. That's when I first seen a computer. Now, these youngsters nowadays see computer at elementary. Times have changed. Right? So it's so different. So that's what I want to say about that right there. So I'm going to let him go ahead, because I don't want to do too much talking and take away from him, because I want us to hear what our brother Duane has to say.
It goes a little bit back, a little bit further than that. It didn't start exclusively here in the United States. It actually started in the Caribbean, and then it made a jump here where it started taking more form. And where it started taking more form here in the United States, mainly was in Harlem. Harlem, you had a lot of stuff going on. Again, I've done a lot of videos on this, detailing this. What we did in those videos, we actually went through the notes of these Hebrew leaders, and they have it stored away at a museum in, I forgot the name of the museum, but it's right there in New York. I think it's in Harlem. It's a Jewish museum. It's all there. So this is not hidden or anything like that. This is all there. Many of the synagogues, the black synagogues that came about during that time, they were actually funded by Jewish people.
Again. He's talking about a specific community that was funded by Ashkenazim. And that was by different ones that was trying to support, saying, okay, we want to support this movie. We see this movie, we try and support it. And it was seeming like, okay, we all coming together under this umbrella of Judaism, right? But as we seen later, certain things happened that didn't work that way, right? But that was the idea. That was during the time of a Ben Yochanan was talking about. All right? I don't know if y'all know who Dr. Ben Yochanan is, but look him up. He has a book called We the Black Jews, right? Let me see if I can bring his book up, We the Black Jews. He has a book called We the Black Jews. And in this book, We the Black Jews, and I'm going to show it to y'all. I was in this for a long time. I'm not new to this. I'm not somebody just seen this on the internet and said, ooh, look at that, what they're doing over there. All right, look at it. This book right here is an awesome book. Awesome book. Awesome book. I will recommend it. It is videos with Dr. Ben Yochanan. This is Dr. Yosef Ben Yochanan right here. Esteemed teacher. Powerful brother. Now, I found out about him later. Way after I was already into this. And then I start venturing out reading different stuff from other people because I wanted to see what was it? What was going on with these other people, right? That's when I discovered Dr. Ben. I was like, ooh, who's this guy, right? I don't know if I got to breaking down all the different aspects of everything of how I got to where I'm at. But I was a young man in high school, and my grandfather began to tell me about being Jewish. I'm thinking like a lot of the other people thought, wait a minute, I'm black. What you talking about, right? And he started laying down different things. Now, he wasn't from Harlem. Was no internet, so he wasn't watching videos from different camps and studying under them. He was doing something completely different, way different. He wasn't even fully practicing, right? He was keeping Shabbat. He was keeping different mitzvot and so forth and so on. But as far as all the way in it, he wasn't there. But he put the word in my ear just telling me. And then what I noticed was I started going places and people were just talking about stuff. I would hear people say stuff. And I'm like, wow, okay. All right. That's deep. You know? And I remember having a teacher named Mr. Chanel Alford. Now, Mr. Chanel Alford did not say nothing about being Hebrew or Jewish or any of that. But you know what he did? He took us young men, and if any of my classmates that know me are saying this, they like, yeah, we know he did that. He did that. Mr. Chanel Alford, may he rest in shalom. He took us. He said, read this book. His whole thing was, I'm not going to tell you anything, right? I'm not going to run you with it or whatever. I'm just going to say, read this book. So he told us, read this book. We read the book, and things start changing. You know, the first book he told me to read where things change is called Destruction of Black Civilization by Chancellor Williams. Destruction of Black Civilization by Chancellor Williams, right? In his book, and I didn't even notice at the time, but in his book, Destruction of Black Civilization by Chancellor Williams, he speaks against he's speaking against Hebrews and stuff. I didn't even know that, right? I had no idea. Until one day somebody brought it to my attention, because I always recommend that book because that book was so powerful to me. I always recommend that book, and somebody brought it to my attention and said, you know, that book you keep telling everybody to get. I'm like, yeah, did you get it? He said, yeah, I got it. You know, he's speaking against being black and Jewish. And I'm like, he is? He's like, yeah. I'm like, I didn't know that, right? But the book did such wonders that I still recommend it. I ain't worried about that. That's a small thing to a giant. I'm not even worried about that. If you really want a book that break down and show the calculating onslaught of attacks on us as a people, Destruction of Black Civilization by Chancellor Williams. You have to get it. I'm telling you, it's going to change everything. And also after that, Mr. Chanel Alford also told us to read Stolen Legacy by Mr. Massey, right? And that showed how the Greco-Romans stole everything from Egypt. So I didn't have videos. I didn't have people sitting there saying, read this and read. I mean, you know, on a video and they sitting there just telling me what I should believe and blah, blah, blah. No. I had books. That's why I love books today. I got a storage full of books, right? Literally, really, really. So many books. I just collect them. I love books. That's why even now and then, even though I'm on this computer, y'all will see me grab a book. Yes, that's right, Brother Joe. I'm telling you. Shalom to you, Aki. Shalom to you, Aki. Every brother and sister should read Destruction of Black Civilization by Chancellor Williams, and they should read Stolen Legacy. It's going to change everything. You're going to see how all this stuff that we've been taught in school and all that stuff, for the most part, is not true. It didn't give you a better understanding of history. And you'd be like, wow. And you really get to see things out. Like, those books changed my life. And this book right here is another book, like I said, because I began to go to this store called Everyone's Place. For those of y'all in Baltimore, y'all know about this bookstore called Everyone's Place. I began to go to this bookstore. And one day when I was in there, I seen a book by this brother called We the Black Jews, right? And I got it. And I said, okay, there's other black people out here that know this, right? That's why I said, so when he says the Hebrew movement started this and it was in Harlem and blah, 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 I'm like, no, I didn't know nobody in Harlem. It did not start in Harlem. It started because the Almighty began to wake his people up. That's where it started. It didn't start in Harlem. Not taking anything away from the brothers and sisters and what they did in Harlem. Once I learned the history about them, I said, wow, all that did was show me there was other people that had the same awakening that I did. Because now you awake, Aki, you might can attest to this, Brother John, how you awaken and you think it's just you. And you like, hey, is anybody else thinking like I think? Anybody else know? And then slowly but surely, I'll run into a Brother John. I'll run into a Brother Walter. I'll run into a Brother Terrell. I'll run into these different brothers that's doing these things, that believe these things, and they didn't get it from any of these camps neither. So it's like, what? They just woke up one day and just realized, say, you know what? There's something about this Torah. You know, that's why I love the brothers and sisters that tell their conversion stories. They say they was in church, they was reading their Bible, there was something about it, they knew it was more. And they start seeking more. And then they came to Torah and they realized, this is me, this is where I'm supposed to be. But they don't know how to express that. They don't got people around them that can just show them, yeah, this is you. So what do? They say, I'm a convert. And they become converts. Because they trying to get that connection back to the Torah. But I don't want to go too far. I want the brother to say what he got to say. But I just had to say that it didn't just start in Harlem. It didn't just start in Harlem. Like he made like it all really started in Harlem. That's the books that he read, that he was researching. And a lot of those works are written by different Ashkenazim. They trying to pinpoint where they trying to say it started. We could go as far back as Nat Turner. Nat Turner was way before Harlem. Nat Turner said he had an awakening. Did you know that? That's why I wanted to ask this brother when he said in the Caribbean. It was in the Caribbean and all this. I was like, he tried to come with all this stuff. I'm saying anything. It started with Nat Turner. And I remember this was in a secular classroom that I learned this. And I'm sitting there and I'm hearing what Nat Turner said. Nat Turner said as he was reading his Bible, he said it was like the Almighty was speaking to him. And the Almighty told him that these people in this Bible that's going through all this stuff is you. And the reason why you're going through this stuff is because you forsook the Torah. And Nat Turner had the idea as he was teaching. That's why I love the movie. I'm telling y'all, you get a chance, see the black version of Birth of a Nation, not that racist white propaganda Birth of a Nation, but see the black version of Birth of a Nation. Then you'll understand why they put that brother who made that movie through so much and tried to destroy his life, right? Because he took his money and he made the movie Birth of a Nation, taking the name from the racist movie and made his own version. And the Birth of the Nation was talking about the birth of us, coming to the knowledge of self. And in his movie, he shows how this black man that was a preacher who was Nat Turner. And the movie was so close to the historical account. I was like, this brother, I'm telling you, that's why they look at how bad they came after that brother after this movie came out. Because it was really opening up again. Things happen to open up your mind, right? So he turns around. Nat Turner says, it's talking about us. We them people in this book. And we need this Pharaoh to let us go. He said, yup, and he was hung in Jerusalem, VA. Yup. That's what I'm saying. People don't know. That's why when he says something about it started in Harlem in the 60s, I'm like, no, it didn't start in no Harlem in no 60s. What are you talking about? Like, stop reading the books that the Ashkenazis wrote trying to tell you about your history. It was even further back than that, right? But Nat Turner shows us the origin of it. But I'm going to show you where it shows it's recorded further back than Nat Turner, right? But Nat Turner had this epiphany of who he was. He said, in order to get out of this bondage, we got to handle everybody. I got to watch what I say now. All eyes on me. All eyes on me. I can't say the wrong word. They be like, I gotta take the video down. I can't say the wrong word. Man, I don't know if you caught it, Brother John. I was about to say, he said, they is watching now, boy. They said, we gotta watch that Negro. Anyway. Oh, my goodness. Anyway, our king. So, I'm going to show you where it came at even further than that. But I'm going to let him continue on with what he's saying. Yeah, Aki, yeah, they watching, Aki. I was like, what is going on? Hey, I don't need no more warnings and none of that other stuff. I don't need no more of them. All right, so anyway, let me go to where we was at. All right, so I'm gonna let our brother finish.
That were living in Harlem and in other places in New York at that time. So it's safe to say, and it's very accurate to say, that the Hebrew movement as we know it today was actually seed funded by Jews, the very people that Hebrews today will openly on social media say that they're the fake people.
Now, that is not true. Now, what he's saying is partially true. Because what happens is when you look at the history, because what he's focusing on is, and I know he's not saying his name, but I know he's focusing on, because again, I learned about this brother later on. I was already in this like couple of decades. And then somebody mentioned this brother, and I'm like, who? They said, Rabbi Wentworth. I'm like, Rabbi Wentworth? Who's that? He said, you don't know who Rabbi Wentworth is? I'm like, nah, I never heard of him. Right? And then that's when I began to look into him. By that time, the internet's here, so I typed it up, seen some pictures of him, seen him doing stuff. and see how everything got established through that, so I can see where he's going with that. But that's not the origin. That's not the origin. As I said, we see the origin right back there with Nat Turner. Now I'm going to show you where the origin goes even further back than that. I'm going to show you go even further back than Nat Turner, because I began to get other books. I was going to everyone's place. I started off just getting the Afrocentric books, and then got to New World Order books and all that other kind of books, because they got whatever kind of book you want is at everyone's place, right? That's why they call it everyone's place. I went there and I said, okay, I went and I got this book, because I just go in there and just be looking for books, because at that point I had a hunger for books. I wanted to read. I wanted to get these books. So I got this book called From Babylon to Timbuktu, written by Dr. Windsor. I got a video where this guy Vocab called himself trying to debunk Dr. Windsor. And on the video that I did about Vocab, that showed how Vocab didn't know what he was talking about at all. We got a lot of hits on it. So y'all can check my channel and y'all will see it. I got his picture on it. And he thought he could debunk Dr. Windsor. I'm like, what is he talking about? He debunked them. And it really was gibberish. And I showed that he didn't debunk nobody. And that was the end of that. I hate when people, I debunked this person. Then you go to look at it and they just say, I debunked them, but they never debunk anybody. But anyway, I'm going to show y'all this other book, right? Because what I started doing, that I read from Babylon to Timbuktu, then I started looking in his, it says, what it says, another must have for all blacks. Oh, yes. I'm telling you, Aki, I'm into the books, Aki. I'll be reading the books, Aki. I try to tell people, I read the books. This book right here that I'm about to show y'all, this is another one as well. And I got this book. Now I'm going to have to caution you, though, about this book. I got to caution you about this book. I'm going to caution you about this book, right? But let me show you this book I'm about to show you. And then I'm going to explain to you why I'm going to caution you about it. Because Dr. Windsor, against what Vocab tried to say, he did an excellent job of being scholarly, because he quoted where he got everything from. That's scholarship. That's scholarship. So when he was on it trying to say, well, I'm like, what are you talking about? He didn't even know what he was talking about scholarship. I'm like, get out of here. Anyway, this is one of the sources that Dr. Windsor said he got his information from. So, because what I started doing was going to his sources and say, okay, well, I want to know where he got this from for myself, in case somebody like a Vocab one day try to come and say, that ain't true, and blah, 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 and did you read it? And I want to be able to say, yeah, I read it. All right, this is one of the books he quoted from a lot. It's called Hebrewism of West Africa by Joseph J. Williams. Now, the reason why I said I'm going to caution you about this book, this guy who wrote this book is, to me, somebody say he's a little eccentric, whatever. To me, he was racist. As you read this book, you're going to hear Negroid features. You're going to hear all kind of crazy stuff talking about black people in a real disparaging language. But you got to get past that to get the information that's in the book. Because what he unequivocally does is show that our ancestors that was brought over here in the hulls of those slave ships, was Hebrews. Now, he argues that some quote unquote, in the end of the book, he tried to argue that some quote unquote Jews, talking about the Ashkenazim, must have came along and showed these West Africans all this stuff that they were doing, and they just held on to it. I'm sitting there thinking, wow, how gullible they think people are. They just come and just show them this, and then they just run with it because they just happen to bump into you and you showed them something. This was too ingrained in these people. He was showing the different habits that they had. They kept the Sabbath. They said sacred Hebraic words. They practiced different Hebraic rites. Like he catalogs all of it. And he does it for all the ones that came over, for the ones that's here in America, and for the ones that's down in Brazil and in the Caribbeans and Jamaica and Brazil and all those other places. He catalogs it. Now you might say, well, why you say he racist? That'll mean he racist because he said Negroid features. Let me let y'all see who this dude is. I did a little looking up on him. Watch this. I'm gonna come out here so y'all can, because you can't see it on this. Let me see if I make it bigger. Maybe you can see it if I make it bigger. Y'all can't see it. Maybe if I'm gonna go to my other screen and see if y'all can see it on that. Y'all really can't see it on that screen. Hold 1 second, because I want y'all to see this. Make it smaller. Why is it bent over like that? Dang nabbit. I wanted y'all to be able to see it. I'm gonna read to you what it say. I got the link to this article. Everything is in the description. So if y'all want to be able to see the article for yourself, because you're not sure if I'm telling you right what I'm saying is saying, and you want to see it yourself, you can. It says Joseph Williams was born in 1875 in Boston, Massachusetts. He was born in 1875. All right. He attended Boston College High School, the College of St. Francis Xavier, Woodstock College, Loyola School, New York, and became a member of the Society of Jesus in 1895. Now, I want people who got their thinking hats on. What is this Society Jesus? Y'all know what this Society of Jesus is? Well, this Society of Jesus is an elite part of the Catholic Church. And they're known as the Jesuits. So this man was a trained Jesuit. The Jesuits are the ones who controlled the Inquisition. The Jesuits are the ones that had the oath to protect the Pope no matter what they have to do. Oh, yeah. So this wasn't just a regular person writing this book, right? So you see why he's going to play it down and say, oh, they just must have ran into some Jews that showed them this stuff. That's why he was doing it. Anyway, let's finish reading up about him. In 1907, he was ordained. In 1912, Williams traveled to Jamaica as a missionary. This appointment proved influential to him is he became fascinated with the anthropology and Jamaican folklore, cultural beliefs. Williams returned to the United States in 1918, working at Woodstock College and the College of the Holy Cross. In the 1920s and 1930s, he published a number of scholarly works concerning African and Caribbean history and belief systems, including Whisperings of the Caribbean in 1925, Whence the Black Irish of Jamaica in 1930, and the one that we're talking about, Hebrewism of West Africa in 1930. Then, of course, he did something called Voodoo and Obeah in Jamaica in 1932. Right? So this is the different things that he's done. And this is also some other collections that he was involved with. We got the Grand Lodge. So he was a Mason. Grand Lodge of East Jamaica Freemason Collection. I want y'all to see what we talk about. So that's why I say if you look at this work, I'll just be careful, because I'm telling you, I read it and it was so racial at times. I had to close the book up and put it on the side for a minute to get my mind right, because he says some crazy things out his mouth. But I'm like, you gotta throw the bones away to get the meat. Throw the bones away to get the meat. But anyway, I'm just trying to show that this was way before Harlem in the 60s. It's way before our brother Matthew Wentworth. It's way before him. So I just want to make that clear. All right. So we'll get back to our brother. Jesuits bring you the black, darker side of Catholicism. Yeah, them Jesuits, when I read that, I didn't even know that about them. I found that out as I was looking into the different stuff for this video. I didn't even know, the Black Pope. Yeah, it's a lot that goes on with that. People don't know about you, boy. You dropping some jewels tonight, Brother John. You dropping some jewels on. People don't know about that, Brother John. You dropped some jewels on the Brother John. People don't know about that. Let our brother finish.
But yet your movement was seed funded by these people. You cannot
That's not
separate
true.
that. I mean, you just can't.
That's not
so
true.
It brings a lot of questions to
the
people.
movement wasn't funded by them.
Answers to the things that just don't add up.
He said the movement was for the movement wasn't for the movement was happening way before them. What they did was the same thing Malcolm said was happening during the March on Washington. What a lot of people don't realize, the March on Washington wasn't started by Dr. King and the other civil rights leaders. The March on Washington was started by the people. People was upset. Said, we're going to go to Washington and we're going to march until they give us what we want. And he went to the Washington marching. When the word got to the president, Kennedy at the time, he sent word to Dr. King saying, you got a march planned on Washington? What are you doing? You messing things. I said to hold off for a while. I'm trying to get all this stuff together for you with the civil rights, but you can't do this march on Washington. Dr. King did not know what he was talking about. He said, march on Washington? What you talking about? Well, no. I didn't organize no march on Washington. So you know what? the government system did. They said, oh, it's something the people did. Okay, well, this is what we're going to do. We're going to put you in front as if this is something you did. You and all the other civil rights leaders, y'all going to meet them in Washington. Y'all going to do some speeches. It's going to be a powerful moment. And then y'all going to let everybody peacefully go back home. Because the people were saying they wasn't going back home. The people was mad and was fed up. And they got in front of it so they could control it, is what I'm trying to bring out with that story. When he says they seed funded your whole movement. No, they didn't seed fund the whole movement. They may have got in front of the movement to try to control it so that brothers like you will come along later and read their books where they talk about stuff they did. You can say, oh, dang, they the ones put the whole movement together from the beginning. That's not true. That's not true. Now, did some people jump in front of the movement and try to hold some things together and did some stuff? Yes, that's true. But you can't say the whole movement, you can't say the whole awakening happened because of something that happened in Harlem, especially when you got people like myself that didn't know nothing about Harlem. Nothing. Was never part of a camp.
And so you had a group during this time. Now we're going to fast forward a little bit, going into the early 60s. There was a group out of, I want to say Chicago, and who said, you know what, we're done here as Hebrews. You know, this is Babylon. We got to get up out of here, right? So they
now he's talking about Brother Ben Ami and the movement he did. And Brother Ben Ami and was not saying, oh, this Babylon, we got to get out of here. Even though they may have had to understand that, yeah, this Babylon, we got to get out of here, right? What he doesn't understand is that a call went out. That's why I say you got to know, you got to have the whole picture. Now, Brother Ben Ami and them came about, and I don't know his whole origin story. I don't know if it's because of something happened in Harlem and then somebody from Harlem told him something. Because that's the point he's trying to make, right? But, and I don't believe that's what happened because Brother Ben Ami don't say that anything like that happened. From what I studied and learned about him. But I learned about him later. That's how I started saying, people waking up every day. Matthew Wentworth in New York, Ben Ami in Harlem. Like, people just waking up, right? So, the whole thing with him, what you got to understand is what was happening during that time. So, let me let y'all know what was happening during that time. And we probably won't have to come back to our brother again because I really want to take my time with this because he said so much in this video. And I was just like, I just can't let him just say all of this stuff because as thousands of people was looked at his video and probably watched the whole thing. Thousands of people. Right? But I want to show you something. Because what he doesn't know or is not aware of is prior to that a call went out. And this call went out saying, if you believe in your heart that you're a Jew and you got a yearning to return back to the Almighty, a yearning has been awakening you to come back to the Almighty because you realize that you are Jewish. Come home. What am I talking about? I'm talking about the law of return. It was a law of return that granted every Jew in the world the law of return. And you might say, well, where are you getting this from? This is the Jewish virtual library. I want you to see them getting it from the horse's mouth. I fact checked here. They try to fact check me. I fact check too. Right? Get it from the horse's mouth. This is the virtual Jewish library. And look at what this part that we looking at is called. Israel's basic laws, the law of return. And this law was established in July the 5th, 1950. Now, this was 2 years after the state of Israel was established. It was a need, just like what's going on with Ghana right now, right? Ghana is doing the same thing when they feel like it's a need to help build up Ghana. So they saying, hey, black people that was taken from Ghana, come home and we'll give y'all citizenship and y'all can invest y'all money in Ghana and do this, that. The same thing was happening with the state of Israel. The state of Israel needed people to help build it. So they gave out this return to come home. So look what the law says. The law of return, what does it do? Granting every Jew in the world. Every Jew in the world. That's why he said it. If you feel in your heart. Because I remember when I first heard about it, that's how they explained it to me. I was in the yeshiva. That's how they explained it to me. I was like, wow. Okay, now I understand why Ben Ami did what he did. Because he felt in his heart that he's Israel. And he had other like people that felt that way too. Matter of fact, it was over 200 of them, at least 250 or more of them that felt that way. And he heard about this call that went out. The call for Israel to come home. Look at the right of Aliyah. It says the right of Aliyah. Every Jew or every Israelite has the right to come to this country as an Ola. Now, these new implications is stuff that was added on later. That's not what originally was said. Look at what it says. Let's go back up to the original reading, right? Well, this part where it's trying to explain it. It says the law of return granting every Jew in the world the right to return and settle in Israel was passed by the Knesset on July the 5th, 1950, and published in Sefer HaKokim, the Book of Laws, number 51, page 159. Now, I want you to notice something, because the original law was bland. From what people said, it was a lot of people coming in from Russia and Poland and Ukraine that said, hey, this is who I am. And they said, we accept you. But something happened where that changed. He said, oh, you got to prove it through the mother. You got to really go through all this stuff to prove it, right? Well, what happened to make it change? Look what it says. 2 amendments was added later on to the law return. One passed August the 23rd, 1954. So let's see if it's going to tell us what this law was. I'm going to click on that. So it says, in section 2B of the law to return, 5710, 1950, it says, the full stop at the end of paragraph 2 shall be replaced by a semicolon and the word or shall be inserted thereafter. The following paragraph shall be inserted after paragraph 2. Is the person with a criminal past likely in danger to public welfare? So in other words, they start saying, well, we don't want to say we opening the doors to everybody, because what if it's a criminal? They coming over here and they got some kind of criminal past. So we got to make an amendment saying, not you guys, right? Then it says in sections 2 and 5, the law words, the minister of immigration shall be replaced by the words minister of interior. Right? So that was that law. Now let's see this other amendment. You're going to notice something. You're going to notice that, look. Israel started to return back black. Yeah, that's what I'm saying, right? Brother John, you know where I'm going. He don't know this, so he painting this picture in a certain way. And I'm like, hold on, brother. You gotta know your history. And you gotta read more than just the books that these people got. Because you are so against this, now I'm just gonna only read this. Gotta know all that's going on, brother. Look at what he says. It says, I know I'm getting close to the time, so after this, I'm probably, and I'm through this point, I'll probably go in and click it off and just come back. So it says, this was done at the 1970. Now, before I go there, I want you to hear what he's going to say happened so we can understand why certain laws is going to get passed after 1970. Because for all that time, they didn't have to define nothing. It was no defining. I want you to understand. It was no, we got to define who is a Jew. It was, if you feel in your heart, you're a Jew. Right? That's what it was. But we about to see something. I'm gonna let our brother come back up. Let him say something, some more words. I'm gonna go over a little bit, not that much, but I'm gonna let our brother come back up real quick and say some more stuff, and we gonna go from there. All
right. Initially, they moved to. It was a group of them that initially moved to West Africa, right?
Yeah. Now he's right. Now, he got the story kind of off, but he's right. Ben Ami said, look, we not going to go straight there from America. Because the mission was always to go to Israel. That was the mission because the call went out. The call said, if you believe in your heart that you a Jew, that's the call. So the call went out. You believe in your heart you a Jew? Come home. So now they like, we got to come home. But Ben Ami said he would show that you can't come home just go there like that. And coming home, because we came through a certain journey through West Africa, we got to go back to West Africa and then go back that way. And make the journey back on foot. So that's what they did. So he went to West Africa, he settled there for a while. And then some people said, well, hold on, we got to make the journey. And then they went to make the journey. He's going to make light of it like, oh, it was hard for them. And they said, let's go to Israel. It was harder journeying to Israel. That's where it really got hard. They walked. So it was harder doing that. But he's going to make light of, oh, it was hard for them in West Africa. So they said, let's go to Israel. Watch how he put it.
So they went to West Africa. They stayed there for a little bit. But from what I understand, if you listen to their testimony, they said, man, it just was not working out for them at all. So they ended up in the state of Israel. And that was like in the mid to late 60s.
All right. So remember that. That was mid to late 60s. And actually, I believe, because I looked at, I believe it was 1967 when that took place. Right? Remember what the original call was. Remember what the original law was, right? The original call and original law was if you feel in your heart that you're a Jew, come home. Come home. Now I'm gonna close out with this. Y'all gonna like this. You gonna like this, Brother John. You gonna like this, Aki. Watch this. It's about it. You feel that's what they told him. Literally, you feel in your heart, come home, right? So they came home. But when they got there, they said, we weren't talking about y'all. The same thing like what happened when the colonies was talking about not wanting to be a slave and wanting to be free and blah, blah, blah. They was talking about not being under the yoke of British. And the black people heard them talk about wanting to be free and not be a slave. They said, yeah, freedom, freedom. And they stopped and said, no, we not talking about y'all. We talking about y'all free. No, y'all our slaves. Y'all ain't no, not y'all. We talking about us. Right? So this is the dilemma that happened. People showed up that they wasn't expecting to come. They was not expecting black people from the Americas to go to Africa and walk there. So was no plane tickets. Was no boat. They walked. Right? So it wasn't an easy feat. Oh, we having a hard problem in Africa. Let's walk to Israel. It wasn't like that. Look at what it says. Rights of members of families, right? So 4A. So this is an amendment. This is one of the amendments. So it looked like and 4A was the amendment. And this happened in 1970. This is 3 years after the Hebrew brothers and sisters showed up there. Because when they showed up, they said you put the call out saying if you feel in your heart you a Jew, we feel in our heart that we Jews, we Israel, we want to come home. You said come home, we came. Now what will make them look bad in the public sight, especially after all they went through to establish the state, to now tell some other people because of how they look and because of their color that you can't come in here and we ain't not recognizing you. So they can't do that. So they had them there for a minute trying to figure out what we're going to do, what we're going to do, what we're going to do. And you're going to hear the brother later. I'm not going to play no more from him, but you're going to hear him later when we come back to him next week. He's going to say they settled in Dimona. That was a process that got them there. But in the midst of that, they said, we got a dilemma. Because what if other black people wake up and say they coming here too? This is a crisis. We didn't fight to get this land so blacks can come here. As Brother John was saying, at the beginning of Israel start being blackened. You had the Mizrahi coming in. They was brown and black and so forth. And we dealing with them now, these black people coming here. We can't have that. We got to do something. So they came up with these amendments. That's why, let's read it. The rights of a Jew under this law and the rights of an Ola under the nationality law, as well as the rights of an Ola under any other enactment, are also vested in child and grandchildren of a Jew, the spouse of a Jew, the spouse of a child of a Jew, the spouse of a grandchild of a Jew, except for a person who has been a Jew and has voluntarily changed his religion. So in other words, now they like, look, if your people was Jewish, but they was practicing Christianity on their own, and you a byproduct of that, you can't come and now claim to be Jewish. Because we put them out once they start practicing something else. See how they start changing it? Why? Because Ben Ami and them came from some people that didn't know who they was. And they practiced other things before they came to Torah. So it's like, no, the only way we going to accept you if you was going through any of that, you got to convert. They begin to put stuff in the game so you can't come back. Do y'all understand what's happened in 1970? It was all because of Ben Ami and the people that came in 67. They said we got to do something about this black problem. They still talk about the black problem today. It's nothing new. And I'm reading this from the Jewish virtual library. So don't send me a warning saying I'm saying something that wasn't saying. I'm reading exactly what it said in this article, as you can see on the screen. Look at what section B says. It shall be immaterial whether or not a Jew by whose right a right under subsection is claimed is still alive, or whether or not he's immigrated to Israel. So it said whether they can prove it or not, whether they in Israel or not, if you voluntarily start practicing another religion, we not accepting you. See, the restrictions and conditions prescribed in respect of a Jew or an Ole by or under this law or by the enactments referred to in the subsection shall also apply to a person who claims a right under the subsection A. So these restrictions, even if you say you the son of a Jew, you the son of this, that, or other, if they change the religion, we not accepting you. Now, this is where they also get into now, we got to define what's a Jew. And I'm going to end it right here. And I'll probably come back later to touch on this. But I just want to just to see this part right here. Because this is the part I want to get to. Because then you're going to see this was all about Ben Ami and them. It's all about them Hebrew Israelites that came there. Look at what it says. They're going to give the definition for a Jew. 4b, for the purpose of the law, of this law, Jew means a person who was born of a Jewish mother, was become converted to Judaism, or who is not a member of another religion. Because now the thing is, you got to be able to prove. You got to be able to prove that you're born of a Jewish mother. You can say you're born of a Jewish mother. Prove that she was Jewish. Did she ever practice another religion? She not Jewish. See how things changed once them black people showed up? I'm going to leave it on that note right there. Because I already went over a few minutes. I don't want to go too far over. Hopefully you all enjoyed the show tonight. Appreciate my brother John, as always, being on here with me, helping me to make it through the night in this ordeal. Great adding to the conversation I keep. And again, before I close out, want to just show our artist of the week. We got a new artist of the week, Sister Angie. I'm gonna let you check her out.
My savior died, my savior rose on the third day. I feel this vibe and come alive. my own way. I need a time, but you know that I don't wait. So you hear it once and I'm singing it slowly. You're all in my mind, I make sure that I notice. You don't give up till I learn to say that you've chosen us. Cause all of this pain should have broken us. You're always the same, all you want is trust. Maybe if I give you the time that you deserve, I finally get to learning what I'm worth. And what could be better? Nothing is better than us. Oh, darling. Oh, Yahweh. Somehow this broken heart is steady beating of something like a Jonah vault. Should I even?
Shalom, 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 shalom. That's our sister Angie Rose. I got all her information in the description. You want to support her and her music, I got a Spotify link as well. So please support our sister. Beautiful, beautiful song. And again, I appreciate each and every person. Thank all of y'all for being here with us. And next week, we're going to tackle some more of this. And again, tomorrow, we'll have a special guest with us. Pastor Stephen Hennett II, as we look over this video that some may have found disturbing, some may have found it encouraging. We're going to look over this video and see the stuff that happened after this video came out. In the video we're going to look at is a video with the pastor who made the young lady come up in front of the church and confessed her sins and asked the church to forgive her. And he broadcasted it across social media, and social media went in a frenzy. So we're going to discuss that tomorrow. So hopefully y'all will be able to be here tomorrow. It's going to be 9:45 again tomorrow. I want to talk about that. And I want to bid you all Layla Tov, good night, and shalom.
Shema Yisrael Adonai